everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. I'm here again in Oak Hill Park, and I've got a new shoe, another new shoe. So fresh from running in the Wave Rebellion Pro Beta, I've got a new shoe from Puma, and this one's for you, Paul. You know, Paul's been reminding me about this shoe, and I finally got hold of it, and I'm going to give it a little time trial now, over about 1.8k, something like that, and see how it performs. And this shoe is, without further ado, look how bright they are. It's the PUMA Deviate Nitro Elite 3. I've heard some good things about the shoe. Let's see how they perform on the time trial, and I'll review it later. See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so I'm running in the PUMA Deviate Nitro Elite 3, and I'm doing a fairly hard run over about 1.8k, and I'm going to be testing the speed of these shoes to see whether they're up there with the Edge Paris, the Sky Paris, the Alpha 5.3s, and also just more recently the Wave Rebellion Pro Beta, and we'll see how they perform. Over this distance. So in terms of running in them, they're quite tight, racy feel to them, light as a feather, and a bit more of a narrower platform than some of those other shoes. Grip, as you would expect from Puma, is pretty good. Maybe not the grippiest ever from them, but pretty good. Upper's good. Really nice upper, actually. Lockdown looks good. Everything about the upper is lightweight, comfortable, well, fits well. A little bit narrow, but it's a bit stretchy, so it kind of molds a little bit to the shape of your feet. Oh. Hard to talk when I'm running like this. If you can hear some jingling, there's some keys I forgot to take out of my pocket. Too late now. No water today though. They're quite nimble shoe. Very different to the Wave Rebellion Pro Beta I wore this morning. Do the same thing. These ones definitely encourage quicker cadence, and not quite, well, nowhere near as bouncy, to be honest. Then again, nothing much is. Oh. It's a good test. They feel quite nice to run in, very natural actually. I'm thinking an 8-7 drop. I haven't weighed them yet, but they're going to be very light. Responsive midsole, nothing too bouncy, but nice and cushioned and responsive. Not as bouncy as Edge or Sky Paris though, has to be said. also got a Teams meeting coming up, so I have to be quick anyway. Good incentive. My credit rate. Ooh, finding it hard today, which I suppose is the point with these runs. Not far to go now though. They feel nice and comfortable, these shoes. Like I said, very natural feel to them. Less of a rocker and more of a toe spring going on here. There is a rocker, but it's not as pronounced as some of the shoes I've been using recently. Nothing like the Cielo or the Endorphin Elite or anything like that. These are definitely going to suit lighter, high cadence runners. I think those who like the Vaporfly, I think are going to like this shoe. Possibly those who like Sky Paris as well. Oh, it flies in my eyes. God, I hate that. Oh, nearly there. Let's give it a final push for the shoe. Do it justice, Ed. Go on. Do it justice. Puma all the way, baby. Here we go. Whoa. Oh. Amazing. Oh. Right, catch my breath. I'll talk to you in a bit. Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable and this is my initial review of the PUMA Deviate Nitro Elite 3. So this is a shoe that quite a lot of people that watch my channel have been asking me to review, and it's taken me a while to get hold of this shoe. But actually I'm glad I've got it now, because I did my first initial run in it yesterday and I was quite taken aback at how good this shoe is. It really is up there with the likes of the Sky Paris and the Sky Edge, but watch the review and watch the run footage and you'll get more information around this shoe. So in this review, I'll go over the shoe a little bit. I'll talk about what I liked about the shoe, what I didn't like about the shoe, and we'll talk about a few of its competitors and who this shoe might be good for. Okay, so very quickly, dimensions and weight. So weight, I've just weighed this actually, and it comes in at 210 grams in this UK size 8.5. I'm normally a 9, but the 8.5 fits me fine in this shoe. It runs slightly long. I've got a wide foot, but actually the toe box isn't too bad. I would say this material actually expands well with your foot, so I don't have any problems with the kind of sizing of this. It's similar to the Edge and Sky Paris, and I was a 9 in those shoes. So if you're a 9 in the Edge and Sky Paris, you might well be an 8.5 in this shoe. But obviously try it on before you buy, if you can. So other things about the upper. The upper's nice and lightweight. It's this woven mesh material, kind of race day material. Tongue is kind of semi-padded. It's nicely padded in the middle where you need to cinch the laces, which I quite like. So it's quite flimsy either side, but in the middle it's quite padded. So I think in general, shoe companies should look at that. You don't need loads of padding at the side, but where you cinch down on the laces, I think that's where you need it. I got good lockdown in this shoe. It's got a kind of semi-rigid heel counter. Nothing too rigid, but rigid enough to keep your foot in place. and a kind of minimal but fine padding around the collar. All in all, I thought the upper was great. In terms of stack heights, mustn't forget stack heights, we've got 40 and 32, so we've got an 8mm drop, which it does feel like an 8mm drop. And I've been using so many shoes recently, like the Sky and Edge Paris, that have got a lower drop than this, that it was kind of nice to wear an 8mm drop for a bit. It's quite nice to vary it up, I think, and this compares well with those two shoes, as we're going to talk about. So what else? So we've got an outsole with PUMA grip. PUMA grip is, as you know, one of the best grips going. It's not got huge coverage. Obviously, they're trying to keep this shoe light, and they have done it, 210 grams. So there's a lot of, of this foam exposed. And I hear that these areas here can get quite worn down. But for me, my first run, it felt grip well. I don't know enough, obviously, about the durability of this shoe. I think there are question marks about the durability, but I think there are question marks with most racing shoes. So I would think you're going to use this mainly for your racing. So that's the outsole. I think the outsole is pretty good. Midsole, this nitrogen infused PUMA foam. It's their Nitro Elite foam. I think this is probably the best PUMA foam in the market. I think it's the same foam they use in the Fast R, and it's really nice and bouncy, but not too ridiculous. You get a nice amount of cushion, and you feel that bounce. I mean, for me, I would slightly prefer a lower drop, so I'll get more cushion in the forefoot, like I do with the Sky and Edge Paris. But I think for a lot of people, particularly if you're heel strikers or midfoot strikers, you're gonna go well with this shoe. I'm a forefoot striker. I strike around here, and it was still perfectly fine. I just found it slightly firmer than those other two shoes, the Sky and Edge Paris. And I think ultimately that'll make me question whether I would take this shoe to the marathon distance. I think 5K, 10K, 100%, half marathon, 80%, marathon, I'm on the edge, 50%. I feel like the platform is not particularly wide, so that would be another thing for me to think about. I think the Sky Paris in particular has got slightly wider forefoot. Sky Paris is lighter shoe. I did a run test in this, and you can see the results later on, but it compared really well with the Sky and Edge, actually. It's a rapid shoe, and I think for me, maybe I'm looking at sort of 5K courses, routes, races where you've got a lot of twists and turns, because it's a very nimble shoe. It's a lively, nimble shoe. I don't get the ridiculous spring from the plate like I do in some shoes. Like the Sky Paris, I keep comparing the Sky Paris and the Edge Paris to this, but with the Sky Paris, I get a real nice toe spring, and with this shoe, it's not quite as prominent. I compare this kind of to the Sky Paris. I felt like the Edge Paris with that early stage rocker feels a little bit different to this shoe. So I think for me anyway, the closest comparison is the Sky. And it compares well. I think I slightly prefer the ride in the Sky, but in terms of performance, this outperformed the Sky in my run. I mean, I know it's not particularly scientific, but I was quite surprised at how quick this shoe is. And so I think it's a really viable race day option for a lot of people. It felt great to run in, it was bouncy, lively, I didn't notice the upper, so the upper's great. I felt like the grip was, like I said, grip was really good. I think this foam, nitrogen infused foam is really, really good. It's PUMA have really caught up with the rest of the shoe world and this. I mean, it's right up there with the FF Turbo Plus and also the Lightstrike Pro and also the Zoom X. It's a real contender on the market. So, for those of you that don't normally buy PUMA shoes, and there are a lot of people, believe it or not, who still kind of ridicule this brand as a running shoe brand, I'm here to tell you that needs to stop now, because this is a real contender. I know this came to the forefront in the Olympic trials when I think 2 of the top 3 women placed, in the top 3 were wearing this shoe. And for those of us, and I'm going to talk about who I think this shoe would be good for now. If you're a lighter runner, someone with, high cadence, I think this shoe could be perfect for you. In the same way that I think that, the Edge and Sky Paris would suit people who are lighter. Particularly the Edge suits people with higher cadence. I think this shoe would be good. But it doesn't mean if you're a bounder as well, I think there's enough protection here, particularly over 5 and 10K, for you to get on with this shoe. I just feel like if I had a choice between Sky Paris or this shoe for a marathon, I think I would take the Sky Paris. Just for me, it's got more foam in the forefoot where I need it the most. But yeah, certainly I've got a question mark to answer. I've got a question to answer now over 5K. Is this actually quicker than those shoes? I think potentially quicker than the Sky. Maybe not as quick as the Edge, but it's close. It's a close battle. 10K, again, I'm not sure. It's a close battle. And then I think the other 2 shoes, ASIC shoes, would kind of come to the fore a bit more in half marathon, and particularly the Paris in half marathon. I'm not convinced I'm going to take this one the marathon distance, and like I said, there's a few reasons for that. It's a firmer ride, so expect that. If you're used to soft foams, you may find this too firm. It's got, I feel like it's got a narrower footprint, and I feel like for me, somebody whose form at the end of the marathon falters a little bit, I would need a little bit more protection and stability in that area. It's not an unstable shoe. You have got some sidewalls here to keep your foot nicely locked in. I didn't feel at any point in my shortish run that it was unstable. I went down some hills, felt fine. I don't think it's an unstable shoe, but I just feel over the marathon distance, I want something with a slightly wider base to land on. I think that's pretty much it. So the main competitors, I think, are the Sky Paris and the Edge Paris, depending on how you run. I felt it felt a bit more like the Sky Paris, if I'm being honest. It does have a nice rocker, but it's nowhere near, I felt, as efficient as the rocker in the Edge. So that reminded me more of the Sky. It's, in terms of the out there on the market, the weight, it's not quite as light as those 2 shoes, but it's up there with all the other shoes. Like, it's lighter than the Endorphin Elite, for instance. So I feel like for those of you who want a kind of more natural, like racing shoe, one that's not got a ridiculous rocker like the Endorphin Elite, you want a kind of like a fun, bouncy ride, but something that's not ridiculous, I think this is a good option for you. You're going to feel like this is like super cushioned and super bouncy foam, but you're also going to feel like it delivers real performance. And that's what I'll end on. I think this is a really viable kind of entry into the racing shoe market. The only thing I didn't like, if we think of some cons, is I do not like this. Get rid of that, Puma, please. OTT. I like the colour. I think it's, as Joanda would say, it's fire. And I like the look and feel of it, but I just don't like that. And I would like a slightly wider base, but that's all. See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, got my breath back now. Running up the hill, and they're pretty nice and nippy. Running up this hill, as you'd expect. They're a light shoe after all, and still not the king of the hills like the Paris, but feel pretty good. Sorry, I got my water bottle now. To the fiddler, sorry, you stick to your umbrella, mate, and I'll stick to my water bottle. But yeah, really nice run actually, and you have to watch the video to see the time, but it's an interesting one, and yeah, gives me some thinking to do
about my 5k at the weekend, that's for sure. But yeah, great run in these shoes. I like them a lot. I think very quick, as you might expect. Yeah, I'd describe it as quite a nice ride. Zippy, feels a very nimble shoe. Feels like a shoe I could go fast in, that's for sure. It's not feeling like it's a marathon racing shoe for me though. Maybe slightly too firm for my liking. And as I'm like a 4 foot striker, I'll be interested to know how much foam is under the 4 foot of this shoe. One of the reasons I like the Paris and the Edge so much is that big wedge of foam under my 4 foot works really well for me. Lots of cushion in those shoes. Because of the lower drop, and will be interesting to see how these compare in terms of dimensions. But yeah, so far so good. Enjoyable ride. I found these very hard to get hold of, so I've ended up with going a size down, an 8.5. What a pair became available, but although it's tight on my feet, it's similar to the Edge in the Sky in that respect. It feels like a race hugging shoe, so I actually don't mind it being a little bit tight. It's not too bad, to be honest. No, not getting any real pressure points. Okay, you know the score. Every step counts. See you later.